Hey everyone, Viewfinder here. As you may or may not know, last year I have produced and published a short film called Sneezeception, and it got a great run over some festivals, got an award. I was really stoked about it, and now I feel like I can give back, show you some behind the scenes that may inspire you or give you some tips and tricks how to go around and make a short movie yourself. If you haven't seen the movie, you can find the link in the description. Please go watch it, it's gonna make me really happy. And now I have decided to break down the textures I have made for this movie that I built. They were basically a way how to avoid hand painting, so I created a Toon shader with textures that are kind of hand painted, but it's way quicker process than if you would paint each model yourself. You can either follow this tutorial or you can get them for free on my Gumroad, where I created like 5 different versions of the textures, and you can download them for free, use them whenever you want. Just tag me with whatever you do so I can check out how people are using these. So let's get to it. So we open Blender. Here I have Blender 5.0, but it's gonna work in any other. There is nothing crazy new. The first thing, we can go to shading. We can add something that we're gonna show our texture on. I'm gonna add a sphere. Then I'm gonna add a new material, and of course I'm gonna name it. That's about it. You can see my keys here. Please ignore all the add-ons that I have because honestly I'm a hoarder, so if you don't have so many, don't worry about it. And here we can go and start doing our shader. First thing first, we're going to need our textures. These juicy textures that I created on my iPad. If you find interesting brush or you're going to see an interesting pattern or something, you are going to draw these preferably on like a 4K canvas, so you can use it in really high quality and a close up. I used values that are like 30% gray to like 80% gray, which is gonna be the most universal one because we are going to use it as overlay or as a mix color. So I don't want any color, I don't want any harsh like black or white, because I just want to mix it in with the Toon shader later. I have created like 5 examples that you have on my Gumroad for free, so download it if you want to explore it more. Or let's continue, and I will show you how to quickly adjust these textures, so when you draw them in on the iPad or whenever, you can actually use a paper and do it by hand. You need to make them repeatable, so we don't see any edges, we don't see any hard dividers between the texture. There is a way how to do it in Photoshop. You can use any other program that probably is gonna be similar, just maybe the effect that is here is gonna be a little bit different. Yeah, so here I have my texture straight from iPad, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna import all of them, and what I need to do is go to filter, other, and offset. I already have here these values, but because I have done it before, it's a half of the width and height of our canvas. Here you can see it's gonna move it, and the edges are gonna be exactly in the center. I click OK, and now I have 2 options. I can either do it here in Photoshop, try to somehow blend these together, or what I did is export it again to the iPad and draw over those edges, so I hide these as much as possible and make it so it looks like infinite without any edges in it. And now we have a texture that is perfectly tileable, and we don't have any issues, any edges or anything. So that's about it. Now I export it to PNG or JPEG, and I can finally use it in my new setup. If I want to preview it, I will Control T and open one of our textures. So now we have the texture here that is gray, and that's why we need first to create our Toon shader that has this little easy trick that I will show you right away. I'm not gonna need this principled BSDF. I'm gonna build it on diffuse, but honestly you can use either principled, diffuse, or glossy, depends on what you want it for. Here this is gonna be our base color that we're gonna use, so you can change this later. You can start with something so it looks a little bit more exciting. We are going to make it like a Toon shader. The best way to do that, that works only in Eevee, which is something that need to take in mind, is shader to RGB. So I'm gonna add shader to RGB. Usually what you would do is like use a RAM, use a color RAM, and here you would like scatter these with like a constant, so you have this effect of like a Toon shader, and you have the highlight, the mids, and the shadows. It doesn't take from this color because I would have to use the colors here. That's what it takes. I have seen a tutorial why not use the color ramps by the Sickly Wizard on YouTube? And he's absolutely right. There is a way better solution for it. And the better solution in this case are curves, but not RGB curves, but a float curve, which is like a math operator. What it's gonna do for us is that we're going to create like stairs here. And of course you can be extremely mathematically precise, or you can just wing it. Doesn't matter really how OCD you are, you know, like you wanna, you don't wanna. I'm used to do like 3 steps over here. This is what is in the textures that I actually use, pretty much precise. You can see the numbers here that you can adjust exactly to your wish, or you can just hang it. You can see that in these, and the transition is going to be a little bit softer because here the slopes are not so sharp. I have actually used this one, which has really sharp values, so it's really close to the actual Toon shaders. It's still, there is like a little bit, like if you zoom in, it's not exactly completely sharp, but it's up to you. That's up to your taste and how you like it. And yeah, as you can see, something's happening, but I don't want to use it on the color. I want to use it on a value, which means I have to separate the colors. So I'm going to separate it, but not to RGB, HSV, and I'm going to use the value, and then I'm going to combine it after. And again, I'm gonna change it to HSV, and I'm gonna plug it to the value. And I can connect the hue and saturation because I want to keep that from this original shader. And now we have nice Toon shader. If I want to give it a little bit more control, I can use the gamma, and I can plug it right here. And if I move it, you can see we'll have more highlights or more shadows, depending on the use. The default is 1. And right now, I would probably group this, and I would get some of it to keep the control. I would plug here the gamma, and I would rename it to like a Toon shift or something. And what we're gonna need is also the color from here. That is gonna be our color for a rim light that we're gonna use later, which is just straight from here. No tuning needed on that one, but I want to keep it from the original shaders. That's about it. We have the node group here. We can rename it tuning because we're tuning it. And now we want to somehow use our original texture we created. What I kind of like about it is that we are actually going to use the original principled BSDF at the end, because we still want the lights to have some effect on it. Turn them on here. I want the lights to affect our objects, because it's not like the actual Toon shader. I want to control the scene with my lights. I want to light it. I want to make it moody or cozy, whatever. That's why we use the principled here at the end. Now our tuning, we're gonna combine them by multiplying. So I can search for multiply, but I need this one with color. So just to make sure it's that one, we're gonna plug these in, move the factor to 1. What we want to do next is add a little bit of like a tangible detail to the object, which the easiest way is to have a normal map, but you don't want to draw that. You want to generate it, which I found a pretty easy way how to do this, and that's with this smart normal map tool that is online. It's free somehow. It works pretty well. So all you need to do is load your texture here, the black and white grayscale texture, and here you have a couple settings. You can play with it how hard you want it. Invert RNG depending on like how do you feel that when you want the depth, and you can also have some blur, so it's like softer. And once you have it, you can just download it. You save the picture, that's all you need. You have your 4K texture, so it doesn't take away anything from the resolution, which is amazing. Once you get it, go back to Blender. We will duplicate this one, open. Here is my normal map. What you want to do is change it to non-color data. That's really important because that's going to use this as not a color but as an information. And now we're going to use normal map, so you can plug it in as a color and you can plug it to the normal. And now you can see that it has like these tiny little details, and of course you can completely overdo it and get something that is way too crazy, or you can just dial it in and just leave it, you know, just a little hint of like texture on it. Now what I did in the textures is I have used this normal even before the actual Toon effect, which seemed to be fun. It's just you need to control it a little bit. Why have I done it is because like it's gonna use the texture a little bit in tuning itself, so it's gonna break down the lines a little bit, but I don't want it so strong. So what I did is like I used the normal map here, but I dialed down the strength to something lower, so I can still see, yeah, you can see that without this normal map and the texture itself, you have these lines like break down thanks to this normal map. And I don't want the effect to be too strong, but at the same time it looks kind of cool, like it's like more handmade. I don't know. I think that helps to sell the whole visual to be a little more handmade and more painterly, if you will. What we can do here, roughness to 1, which is like not gonna make it too shiny, but that's something you want, you definitely can. And also here, the factor that I forgot to mention, it's gonna control the intensity of the texture. What I'm missing here from the original shader material is the rim light. So let's get to it. Let's make a rim light. So for ease of use, I usually do this mix color, and I use the actual shader here, and the other one I bring in hue saturation value, and I use the same, basically the color we got out from tuning, which is straight up the color, and I'm gonna mix it in with texturized version. And here I can move my value up because I want the rim light to be vibrant, I want it to be lighter. If I want the rim light to be another color, I can use the hue here, which is what makes it extremely flexible, and I don't have to change more values. I will just change one color for the diffuse, and that's it. And now let's make it look like it's only on the rim. So what I'm gonna need is texture coordinates, and I'm gonna use the reflection here, and I'm gonna use also vector mapping. I will put the reflection here. We can preview what we're doing by pressing Ctrl Shift and click on it, and you can see that this value, that kind of like the edge that we want to somehow extract, I want to use a gradient for it, gradient texture, and now we're getting somewhere. We can use our color ramp and really squeeze it in. So I want to squeeze the black in. I can either press it to constant, so it's actually really sharp, which depends on what you want to do as an effect, but I want it black because I'm going to subtract it. So I'm going to use layer weight here, and I'm going to use greater than. I can use this to further control the rim light. I can also use the blend, and it's gonna gives us like more granular control with these two, and then I'm gonna subtract these two. So again, we want the math one, so I'm gonna subtract this and this, and I can plug it here up to the next factor, and this is gonna give us like the rim light all around, but that's not what we want. I can subtract here a little bit more, and you can see it just from one side. And if I want to change the direction and the size, I'm gonna play with the mapping, so I can rim light like from the bottom and make it a little bit longer. Now this is just a preview of the subtract here, so if I go it here, you can see that it's using the color that we adjusted by hue saturation value, mix it with the texture, and this is our final result. If I want to make it thinner or thicker, I can play with the value of the layer weight. I can also use this to add or subtract a little bit more of the rim light, and if I want the rim light to be, for example, like the opposite color, I can just turn the hue. You can see if I turn around, it works as a rim light pretty well. That's for the rim light. You can also group it as I did in the textures that are on my Gumroad. That depends on you, and reuse it anytime you want. So now it would be time to like clean it up and package it nicely, which I already have done here. This is the file that is on my Gumroad that you can download for free. What you can do here, what is probably what you're gonna do pretty often, is changing these textures. So what you're gonna need is to change this texture for another one. I have here the halftone. So you change here, and you can see like it has the different texture, but it works the same way as before. Here, this changes the color. Thing is, what I did here extra is like going not from the diffuse, I added here a glossy shader. This one is interesting. I don't know, like feels like it works sometimes for certain textures, and for certain textures it just doesn't work. So it's all completely up to you. Different colors. It's not like you use often like super shiny stuff and like a Toon stylized, you know, renders, but if that's something you want, you can completely definitely do that. Break it, make it, use your own. You can see if I change now the colors of the light, it's gonna react to it in a really specific way. That's exactly what we wanted, that it's gonna react to also the color. And yeah, that's it. If you're gonna download it or make it here, please tag me in anything that you have made with it. I'm really looking forward to see anything you did with these Toon shaders. I don't think it's anything crazy new, but it's something that I have developed when I was developing the look for my short film, and I feel like it could be useful to some of you. So yeah, subscribe and have a good one. See you in the next one.